This video contains gratuitous use of profanity and uncomfortable pauses to compensate for lack of professionalism and original thought. Viewer discretion advised.
To you live from Castle Winterfell, we bring you the Nerdy Manroom show. And Monster, got a hell of a show this week. We got Super Nerd Out, where it's fans' choice. These are questions you guys have submitted to us, whether it be through our DMs or questions on the page and things of this nature. So we got a pretty good bit of action-packed show, so to speak. A lot of what ifs.
Yeah, we do. And we're in light of that, we are going to skip Geek Week this week just to get straight into this. And we've done Geek Week for the last couple of weeks, so we'll give it a break for a little bit because I was out of the house for a little bit this weekend, so I'm a little bit behind on catching up on anything other than what we talked last time we were together. So, but for part of this Super Nerd Out, which is going to be, I guess we'll give some of the information up front here first of what it is and what we're doing. And just like always with our regular Nerd Out, we're going to ask random questions, and we're both going to have to answer them. And we'd love to hear your answers, too, if you want to expand upon them in the comments below or talk about our answers anymore or give your own. We would love to hear that. But what we did is send out the call and say, hey, let's get, fans, give us some questions. And we got back a lot of questions. So what we did was independently, we both went through and picked out 10 different questions. So I don't know what you have. You don't know what I have.
Right. So we may have the same questions. You never know.
We might, but we went to the level of 10, and I don't know that we'll make it through all 10 because we give that, just like always, we give the answer. We'll expand upon it as much as we possibly can. Some of them might be real quick. Some of them might be longer, but depends on what it is. But, we did say let's get 10 together just in case we picked out some of the same ones or we picked something different. We will definitely go to, our plan is at least to make it to 6 or 7. If we make it to all 10, that's great, but there's no guarantee we will. If not, we will save them for next time. One of the things we decided to do is leave some anonymity to this so that not the people who ask it necessarily. Sometimes we share who asks questions, sometimes we don't. I think in this one we decided we won't, just so we don't put anybody on the spot with their question in case they didn't want anybody to know that they asked it.
Don't want nobody to get heckled by our other viewers.
And these are not just straight up nerdy questions. I don't know what all you picked, Hassel, but I went through and said, okay, I'm going to take at least half of the questions as nerdy questions and the other half as general life questions, just because we get some of those sometimes because people want to know more about us and, more about our personalities and stuff besides just what we do.
I mean, why would people want to know more about us? I mean, come on, we're pretty interesting fellas.
Well, you speak for yourself. So I took half and half. I did half general questions and half nerdy. So they may not all be nerdy questions, but they should still be interesting answers because some of these questions were, wow, I wasn't quite expecting that.
Yeah, when I got to how big is your cock, I was like, whoa, hey, it's a little easy, fella.
Yeah. I don't think I looked at that one. But I did have some interesting ones that I picked out and then some that were, that came up last minute. I was like, all right, okay, this makes sense because somebody submitted it and it was part of something else. So I kind of took some of those as well. But with that being said, I think that kind of covers us on the basics of what this is, and everybody should know how we kind of do Nerd Out at this point if you've been here before. But Hassel, I'm gonna let you go first, sir. You shoot one first, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with something that's kind of a hot topic, anyways. This kind of broke this week. So it says, news broke this week that X-Men 97 Morph is now non-binary. What are your guys' thoughts on this and the rumored change to possible other characters as well? So I don't know how much you've read this, Monster.
I've seen
a couple articles
of it.
And it's kind of rumored that there's going to be some sort of a relationship between Morph and Wolverine. I'm hoping this is going to be the buddy relationship. And I've heard Cyclops' name tossed around as well, which would be really odd, seeing as he's going to have Jean Grey and Madeline. Maybe if they're thrupled up, I don't know, but
Yeah, I can't see that being the case. And the Wolverine thing was like they were close friends in the original one, even though Wolverine a lot of times acted like at the very first episode, acted like he couldn't stand him, but they were very close, especially after he died. And he went
Wolverine obviously took it hardest when Morph, seemingly passed.
if it's depending on the character, it would have phased me more, I guess, because it's Morph. And if you look at the comics and you go by what they made Morph in the Exiles and stuff, and he's got that nondescript face, and yeah, he kind of has more of a male build and a male body, and I would assume he's male. But at the end of the day, on a molecular structure, he can be whatever he wants to be. So I really didn't care that they made him non-binary. If you took Cyclops and did that, I'd be like, that doesn't make sense, because
Yeah.
how many women has he laid up with? Speaking of, this is a side question, but for everybody who hates Cyclops, he's actually my favorite X-Men, but a lot of people can't stand it. I'm like, this dude pulls the hottest women that the X-Men hire for the most part.
How he has not got mutant syphilis, I don't know, but he's pulling left and right. But I look at it two ways, Monster. I mean, I look at it from the point, okay, one, he is he's a shapeshifter, so he can be, or they, it, what, how the hell, I don't know pronouns, what they use, but the character can be male or female, so
Sure.
so forth and so on. My part is when you start changing established characters, like, kind of like what they did with Iceman, Alan Scott, a few others, and even like Mystique now. And Mystique, I know she borders that, because she has always been a shapeshifter, but she is at base always been a female.
So
that's where I took exception with it on hers, like when they turned her into Nightcrawler's father as opposed to mother.
But I can understand that, because the way they explain, I don't necessarily like it because it's changing an older character, but the way they explain her is that she can actually, her power is borderline Omega level, because she can actually change her entire genetic structure.
Well, she can change her DNA structure and all that. Yeah.
So that makes, like, she even masks herself from being found as a mutant if she wants to. She can change her DNA structure to look human. She did that in that Uncanny Spider-Man book that came off of that. The last issue of that came off of that Uncanny Origins book of hers, and I'm like, all right, you explain it that way, I get it, because it's a character who can do those things and change what they're.
I just felt like it was reaching a bit much myself, just to try to be inclusive, when there's just so many other cool new characters you can make and create them that way. I mean, I don't care how many non-binary characters you create, just don't change established characters is my thing.
And that's fair. I can get behind not changing established characters. As far as I guess my biggest thing with that whole thing is all the people who are screaming very loudly about it and like wanting to boycott the whole X-Men cartoon.
Oh man,
I'm like, dude, X-Men's whole thing has always been about
persecution and racism, and
yeah,
it does fit their mode. It does. I think Disney has pushed it a little further than what they should have, maybe. Bob Iger is said to be very upset at the backlash.
Possibly they may have possibly pushed too far, but I will say this: if there's going to be a book or a character or a cartoon that it fits, it does fit X-Men. If you're going to do it somewhere, that's the place to do it.
Well, that's the whole reason Stan done the X-Men initially, was to kind of tackle racism, but without tackling the issue of racism. It was persecution and segregation and things of this nature. Which was a very hot topic in the 60s and early 70s. And I mean, unfortunately, it still is in 2020s, but it just shows how little we've progressed, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it in there so much. I don't know. It didn't stand out to me as much as it did to other people. I guess so. I was not as I was just kind of about it, but we've both bantered around that one, so I'm going to throw my first one out. I'm going to give you a nerdy question on this one. So let's I'm looking at these trying to find something. So let's stick with the comic forte for a moment, and let's say and we can lump some of the independents together, but Marvel versus DC versus independent comics, rank them and explain why you rank which one higher or lower.
That's a good question. Very good question. For me, it's going to always be Marvel top. I'm just it's what I grew up on. I mean, I'm wrong. I read some DC growing up, but I probably didn't really start reading DC super hardcore. I got 16, 17 maybe. I remember 0 Hour kind of really piqued my interest, and certain books prior to that, like Knight's End and things like that. it really piqued my interest here and there. But I didn't become a religious DC reader until, I don't know, around 99 or 2000, possibly. So before that, I was Marvel, and I was pretty much just X-Men, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man. That was what I stuck with. I didn't expand even in the Marvel universe until 99, 2000. I started reading Avengers and some of the after that, next thing you know, I was reading everything.
Yeah.
It just got out of hand at one point. But there are certain DC books I love, so DC will be next. And when it comes to independence, I really enjoy independent books. I don't know, they're a little infrequent for my taste, because you don't always get like when they say independent, you might get four issues a year, maybe.
So
Or even even with like Image, unfortunately, they're not as consistent sometimes. I look at, like I really got into that Image United a few years ago and was like excited. We got 2 issues. Never got the 3rd and 4th issue. Even like with Spawn and some of their regular books, it can sometimes be every 5 or 6 weeks before you get another issue. So I don't know. That's just the inconsistency
yeah,
hinders them to me.
yeah, and I was even gonna say, because mine has always been, I've always bought both Marvel and DC about the same amount, so it's really hard for me to pick those. I probably buy more Marvel titles than I do DC titles, but the DC titles I get sometimes are, I guess, more meaningful. Sometimes I get more out of them. It's hard for me. I'd probably have to say Marvel just slightly over DC, and then DC just because the X-Men more than anything pull Marvel up for me. But in Independence, and I don't look at all the Independents the same. Like if it's Image, Dark Horse, Dynamite, some of those that have been around, Boom even, and they've got certain things that hit. I mean, they all kind of start filtering down. But yeah, it's not far for me to jump from DC down to Dark Horse, Image, and Boom, kind of all ranked together, because they don't have that many titles I buy, but the stuff
As
that
long
they
as the
have that's
story
good
is
is really
good,
good.
I don't care who the publisher is.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just want some consistency. I'm one of those people I go down rabbit holes. Like when I start, I'm a binge watcher. Like
Yeah.
we've conditioned ourselves this way over the last few years, and it's like I can't just read one issue and say, "Fuck, I gotta wait 30 days," or God forbid, a quarter to the next, time the next issue comes out, because it's a Kickstarter, or I want it all at one time. So sometimes I prefer trades, or to buy them just in lumps and read them in lumps.
That's fair. Yeah. So I think that answered that question pretty thoroughly for us. So I'm gonna throw it back over to you, sir.
Well, I'll go with I chose a personal one. So we clearly see that Monster is drinking water usually.
Yeah.
But Hassel, what's in that big cup of yours? And I have the big cup. It says I drink in no things. Typically I got the show cup. But depending on what time of day we record, if it's an AM recording, I'm drinking water or black coffee with a couple of Splenda in it. If it's afternoon recordings, typically an energy drink or water. If it's a PM recording like what we have now, you typically have about 2 beers and a liquor drink that consists of Crown Black and Diet Mountain Dew. That's my go-to drink. It's called the Hassle. You wouldn't think it would go good you wouldn't think it would go good together, but it does. The Diet Mountain Dew keeps it from being too sweet, and the Crown Black is just a very smooth whiskey. My preferred. So
I got you. Yeah, I'm always, if I'm always drinking water unless I'm eating, and then a soda. And sometimes a night after soda, and if I'm just sitting around watching TV and it's getting later and I want something with some flavor to it, I'll drink juice or whatever, because I usually have something thought like that. But the only reason I've swapped up lately, and it's not even, I've been on cups lately just because I got some for Christmas and I didn't have that many tumblers that I would
that's a
fill
pretty
up to
sweet
keep
cup.
over here. Yeah, that one's pretty nice. It's Darth Vader, and it's got all kinds of sayings in it.
I dig that.
But I started using, because I would always buy bottles of water and I'd keep refilling the same one for a week or whatever. Then I'd toss it out and get a different one, and it was getting expensive. But also I do that because I travel. But these are actually, like, even my big one here, which is Boba Fett one. It's filled up with water as well, but this I can actually strap to my bag when I'm traveling, so I can fill these up at the airport. That's the only reason I bought the plastic bottles, because I couldn't really. This does not travel in the airport. It's going to spill everywhere. This can travel in the airport because this locks down. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's for me. It's more of because of a travel thing, but I still have these full of water even now.
You can tell who travels for Cobra and who doesn't. Because I buy that when we buy water, we buy that old case of water that's got them old some bitches that crush in your hand when you're opening the cap, and it's just something to get some hydration.
Yeah.
While we wait, we hydrate.
So I'm gonna shoot to another question now. This one is a general question. Now I'm gonna admit this one came from not just a fan, but this one came from my kid, because he had to buy some dress clothes for something he's going up to be active in. He had to put on dress clothes, and I made fun of him for how he looked. So not for how he was dressed up, because he looked actually really nice and
pretty snazzy actually.
However, he pulled the ultimate wrong move to me. So I'm gonna ask: suspenders or belt? And he asked this question because after I made fun of him, he's like, well, that doesn't make sense. So I'm going to take his question. This is actually a fan from his perspective. I said, suspenders or belt? Why do you pick that one over the other? And do you ever do both together? Because that was the mistake he made. He did both together. And I'm like, that's the same function. They do the same thing. Why do you need both? That's like overkill.
Yeah. Well, other than the ones I had to wear at my wedding, I haven't worn suspenders since 1988. It is a belt when you need when I need something to keep my pants up so I don't have plumber's crack. Prior to '88 though, everybody wanted them suspenders, and I think we wore them around our fucking ass more than over the shoulders. But everybody could thank Marty McFly for that suspender look back then. So yeah, it's a belt for me always.
I am a belt person. I've worn suspenders maybe twice in my life, and one of them I know I was a young kid, and I was just basically told, this is what you're wearing, this is what came with it. I'm just not a suspenders person. I don't think they necessarily look bad. It's just not a look for me. I prefer the belt. I prefer that security of the belt being there versus the suspender holding it up.
Oh, the only person I can even recall seeing in suspenders, like I said, other than being in a suit, suit and tie, like what the 16th Doctor was going for the other day. People wear them with that, but it's Mr. Cosmo, God bless him. He is. This guy's a fucking billionaire, and he literally wears suspenders with Wranglers to the office. And I'm like, you would never look at this man and know he's as fucking wealthy as he is, but he's a believer in suspenders.
I do know some other people who do suspenders, and I think it's more of a, hey, just because of my size and the way I'm built, it's more secure that way probably than the belt, because it feels like the belt's probably slipping and you're constantly pulling them up. Yeah. I will admit that I have to buy. I could probably buy one size smaller in jeans and stuff when I buy them. The reason I don't is just because I need room in certain areas that it doesn't provide if I buy the size.
Boys have to breathe.
Yeah, pretty much. But I buy a slight size bigger than what I should, but I need the belt. But I was like, it is a constant pull up all day long. I was like, maybe the suspenders will help it, but I don't know, the over the shoulder thing. I'm like, I carry a backpack around all day too for work with my computer and stuff, and it's not for me.
I hate the over the shoulder shit, because more often than not, I have to have a radio at work. So I got it's like a walkie-talkie hooked to your fucking side, and then the clip up here, so you can find your leads or your supervisors and whatnot all day long. That's like,
I wear a high vis vest most of the time at work, and the one I have I love because it's got like so many pockets, and I'm like, there's an inside pocket, there's a pocket on each breast, there's a pocket on each side. I'm like, stuff is just stuff in there. I can guarantee you, I open it right now and put it on, and I can find probably at least 2 pairs of brand new packs of earplugs, because I never want to have to look for any. So I'm always like, I'll take 3 of those. I'll put 2 in my pocket. I'll use one for now.
So if you're ever at Cover Industries, you know who has the earplugs.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's jump back to you for a question then.
So I got one geared towards you, Monster. And when I've seen this one, I said, oh man, this is pretty interesting. I know it'll be a good one. So, Monster, we know you're a huge Green Lantern fan. If you were to take over the title for 24 issues, what would you do?
Ooh, man, that'd be hard. I would probably, I would rotate through the Earth Lanterns in each, maybe like every 3 issues, and have them paired off into pairs, or maybe even 3s, because there's more than just pairs of them. But I would say rotate them off and have have interlocking stories. Like, so let's just say you got Hal and let's say Hal and John are a unit, they're a team, and they're based in Sector 2814, and they have to patrol Earth and stuff. But there's maybe do a murder mystery or something, like there's this huge mystery going on, and maybe somebody from a Guardian was killed or something like that, or somebody from the United Planets. So they're working it from their angle because it happened in their sector. Well, then at the same time, you could take Kyle and what's her name, Sojourner or whatever her name is, the one that they put in that far sector book, and have them off in some far sector space because they're more of the diplomatic envoy or whatever. They find they're working on a case there that's maybe it's a smuggling or a drug running or something, but whatever it is space wise, but it ties back. So as you go through each of the plot lines, you start having little threads that tie each of them back together. And I'd have to figure out who I would team up and stuff, but I would have where issue 1 is Hal and John, issue 2 is Kyle and Joe, issue 3 is Guy and Simon and Jessica. Maybe you keep them as a unit of 3 because Simon and Jessica were kind of still newbies, and just let them all be working different cases, but then they all come together in the center of it to say, okay, this is the ultimate bad guy that they have to fight, and maybe the last 4 or 5 issues is all of them together dealing with the ultimate threat. That's probably what I do.
That's actually pretty cool. I like it. I think myself, were I to be in your shoes, I would go the route of what Ron Mars did in the 90s. I would simplify things. We would bust things down to one fucking lantern for everything. I'd have some sort of event that goes on within the central battery and the Guardians. Some enemy attacks, and I don't know who the enemy will be. But whatever they done would shatter everyone's fucking ring but one lantern. And I would probably stick with Kyle. I would go back to having Kyle as the one. And like this would obviously kill some lanterns because they'd be in fucking space and their ring would shatter. Thus they would die. Some will be in battle, be exposed, die. I think it would be really cool to like say you have Hal surviving on Earth, but this one time his will is not enough to forge a new ring. He can't do it. And like, it would be really cool to kind of have Hal just like become this drunken character where he's like just depressed and fucking, and kind of like being unruly towards Kyle, and then maybe you could do something with a guy to where he's he's tapped into warrior powers before, or maybe he taps into a quad energy ring or whatever. That'd be kind of cool. He might be the only one I would allow to access some other type of power ring and try to help Kyle restore which will be Kyle's, goal is to restore the Green Lantern Corps. Maybe work over the course of the 2 years of trying to get things built back up, see who the enemy is, go against them. I don't know if it'd be Krona or I wouldn't have it be Sinestro. I'd probably have Sinestro be in the title, but not necessarily be the villain. Maybe we out of his respect for the Corps, he wants to help Kyle, which would be a good cop, bad cop type thing. And then, with Guy there as well. That'd be pretty interesting. But I definitely have John Stewart and Hal there, but they'd be bitter, so to speak. Maybe John Stewart finds some peace. I don't know.
Okay. That would be an interesting one. I would tell you the current Green Lantern stuff they're writing, just as an aside, is actually really good. And they've got the Green Lantern book has Hal in it for the most part, and then you have like little backup stories where with Kyle, and they've shown what they sent Guy off on a mission to bring in the bounty hunter Lobo from the United Planets, and I think he's getting his own little one-shot book to kind of tell that story, which looks actually pretty good. And then Green Lantern War Journal is about John because he's back on Earth as well. Him and Hal are both on Earth, and then the rest of them are kind of spread to wherever. So pretty good so far.
I just feel like maybe they oversaturated things with the color spectrum. As cool as that was then, now it's almost at a point where it's like, okay, it's too much.
Yeah, if it's not used right, it can be. Let's see here. Let me look at these and find a good one. Let's see. I'm gonna throw this one out there. So, this will be a nerdy question this time, because I think I did the general. I'm trying to bounce back and forth, but what's one nerdy item, or I guess worded as one nerdy item, sorry, that you just don't get into or behind. So I guess one nerdy anything that you just don't get into or get behind or yeah, it was a little bit of an unwieldy question there, but I got the point. It was worded kind of weird.
I guess for me, man, it would kind of be I could go with two things, and they're both video games, but I are games in general, I guess, so to speak. I never got into Final Fantasy as big as it was, and I never got into Pokemon, any of those card type games. Like as nerdy as I was, and I still am. I mean, don't get me wrong. That was just never nothing that I was like. And I get it. I used to play HeroClix. That's probably worse than any Pokemon. At least you're dealing with a deck at that point. We actually had figures and maps and everything, basically like Super Dungeons and Dragons. But I don't know, Pokemon or Final Fantasy.
I thought about the Pokemon myself when I looked at this question because I didn't get into it. But we did do HeroClix, and that's kind of close. And I have played Pokemon a couple of times with the kid because he likes it, or gone out and done Pokemon Go with him, where you have to go hunt them down and stuff. And just because of that, I can't say I didn't do any of it. I really wasn't into it, but I did it to be doing stuff with the kid. But for me, this is probably a controversial one, but for me, I just never got into. It's fantasy nerd one, and I probably would have, but then I was behind, and I was like, I don't want to catch up. And then I tried to watch a couple of them, and I couldn't get into the whole Game of Thrones.
Oh,
I really couldn't at all.
Ooh. You're doing yourself a great disservice, brother.
I tried to watch some of the newer stuff, and I just couldn't get into it. And I was like, I don't want to go back and watch 8 years of that.
If you did watch House of the Dragon, I will say those first few episodes was kind of, but it really picked up mid-season. It wasn't as good as Game of Thrones to me. The Game of Thrones was like the shit. Like it takes a couple of episodes to kind of get into it, but by mid-season one, you know who everybody is at this point, and that's where the groundwork goes, and it steamrolls from there, and it's just like great. Each episode just gets better, and it is very much like Walking Dead, as well as you start really loving a character, they kill the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, each couple of weeks is like, you son of a bitch, you just ruin, or someone gets redeemed that you didn't think was redeemable.
I always like that fantasy stuff. I've even watched some that I think are terrible, like that Wheel of Time that's on Amazon Prime is not that good of a show. But
if you can watch that Lord of the Rings
show,
I don't see how you couldn't love Game of Thrones.
Lord of the Rings was hard to watch.
The
show was. The show has
out. That's pretty good.
The show has 3 running plot lines in that Lord of the Rings show, and like one is interesting, and actually I want to see. One is like, okay, I can watch it, but I can kill all the time and like play on my phone while I'm watching it because I'm not that into it. And the third one I could care less to see, and I start fast forwarding just to get to the end of that part of it. But you can't fast forward too far because they tell all 3 stories in every episode. It's like they trapped you at that point.
I kind of listened to you and Big Rob, and I was like, I'm not wasting time. I don't have enough time. No.
Oh, so what do you have next, sir?
So I'm going to jump into the world of wrestling. So, if you created a modern day NWO, who would you include?
Modern day NWO, isn't that what Judgment Day basically started out as?
Yeah, but it's going to be an actual NWO, and you can use anyone from, I'm assuming you can use anyone from any federation to make it, NWO. Current day.
Man, that's hard because I don't know who's. Outsiders coming in to be part of it. I would want to have MJF because he would be a great. He would be a great one to turn later on against him because he wants to be the leader. But outsiders coming in, probably him. And much as I hate to say it, I'd probably take him and Kenny Omega as the outsiders coming into the company. Internal wise, because you started with at least one traitor on the inside, I would probably make it either Cody or Drew McIntyre. Probably Drew McIntyre because Cody's better as a babyface at the moment. And
Drew is becoming such a great heel.
He is. He really is.
He's like a tweener heel like Brett was in '97. It's just fucking great.
I think I would have to have at least 4 to 5 people, so I would probably do them, and then trying to round out the group of people who would be good for it, but not detrimental at the same time or take away from anybody. Man, I feel like I need somebody who's a powerhouse to join them. So I almost feel like Omos and MVP would be their weak link, but also their big guy and their hype man.
Omos was like, he was on borderline on my list. Like I had it. Like when I was thinking about this earlier, I was like, shit, he'd be great. Because you got to have that.
You got to have that big.
But Drew can kind of skate the line with that, though.
I think Drew and MJF end up becoming the argument over who's really the leader of the group. And I know a lot of people say it's Omega, but I'm not like, I'm not that big on him.
Okay. So that's your NWO.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So I got my outsiders coming in. I'm going with Swerve Strickland. They got to swerve on dry, baby. Got to. And he's becoming such a great heel. Omega, I went with Omega as well. The Infiltrator to help them, because I felt like I needed someone for each division. Jade Cargill. Because she's going to be my women's champion that infiltrated the whole thing. Then I had Drew McIntyre on there as well, because I was like, I was like close to Omos or Bobby Lashley.
There's no group you can see him with in the current WWE, so you can see him being. And he's talked about all of his stuff outside. Like him and Cody talk about, we fought outside of here. Who won that fight? That would be a great leeway into it, right?
And so that's why I had Drew down. But I mean, I was like, when I was like between these three, I was like, I had Drew, Bobby Lashley, and Omos.
Bobby Lashley was one I thought about too.
Bobby Lashley is just, he's so proper. Yeah, I don't know if he could ever really fit that cool heel. Kind of like Omos would just kind of be the guy standing background like the Giant.
Yeah. And
that's why I kind of strayed from him and I went with Drew, because I felt like Drew could kind of ease into that. Kevin Owens.
That's a good one.
And for my leader of the NWO 2024, you can't see me. John Cena comes back with a heel run, a resurgence in his career, and he can actually... That will be the one that just like turns people upside down, and that's the only way I see John getting any momentum to maybe getting another reign.
Did you see? So I'm going to take a quick aside. So I don't know if you've watched Raw from this week. I just flipped through it before we started recording because it's on Tuesday we're recording, and I fast forward. But I did watch R-Truth's little segment where he's out in the rain poncho talking to the reporter lady, and he's like,
dude,
he's like, I was as happy as the first time John Cena saw a pair of jean shorts.
I popped when he said that shit. The question is, do you actually get up at 5 o'clock to watch Elimination Chamber Saturday?
Oh, no.
It's sad, too, because it's such a great card. It's like a great card, but it's like, I don't see myself getting up at 5 a.m.
We're not going to watch it till that night because we actually already had plans for Saturday during the day because there's a anime coming out that the kid really wants to go watch in the theater. And he asked me months ago if I would take him to see it because it's only in the theaters for like 2 days. And one of them is Saturday and one's during the week. And I was like, we'll go Saturday and watch it. And it's like 2 o'clock on Saturday. So I'm like, I already know what we have planned for that. And I may go watch Madam Web before we go watch that just so I can say I went and saw it in the theaters and be disappointed by it. But, we've talked about doing that.
Yeah. It's a man with money to burn, people.
Yeah, not really, but we already had plans, so like we'll watch that night after we get back. So I had no plans to get up and watch it at 5 a.m. at all.
I typically wake up around 6:30 or 7, so I may get on about then and just watch from the beginning forward. And just Cody's not wrestling anyways. He's just doing a Grayson Waller thing. So really, the rest of the shit.
That's the thing. That's the thing too. I don't pay for the premium Peacock. I pay for the lowest tier of it.
Yeah.
And you actually cannot go back and start from the beginning until it ends the show. It makes you start in where it's at live. Now you could pause it and then you could play catch up, but you can't go backwards until it ends, and then you can watch the whole thing over again.
I don't know. I'm supposing I have regular Peacock. I don't know.
How much you pay
shit,
for it?
I don't know. It's included in some plan I have. I don't know. Them fuckers could be charging me an arm and a leg for all I know. It just comes out of the account. I don't know if it's on my cell phone deal or through Amazon or what.
I got you.
I'm one of those people. You just figured me out.
Well, that's a good general life thing to know about you. But since you went there, I'm going to go to that section for my next question here. Yeah, I got some that are funny in here, some that are interesting. Let's ask this one. This one will be an interesting one. I'm debating actually now because there's a funny one. I'm going to ask the funny one first. I'll come back to the interesting one later. So, funny question: is it okay for you or your partner to pee in the shower?
Oh yeah, I pee in the shower every time.
I
can be mid shampoo and just look.
So I am one of those people that I do not do that. I don't have anything against it. Now, if I had to really do it, I would. But I'm also one of those people that's like, it doesn't faze me. So if I was in the shower with my partner and she decided to do that, I'm like, okay, it's not going to faze me. I've never done it much myself.
Yeah, she didn't find it too fun when I done it in the shower with her. But yeah, if I'm in there alone,
then you're making it to a game. Can you tell?
Well, yeah, you try to aim for the drain and see if you spray her hair out of the way or whatever it is, and
So
she didn't find it as interesting when we done it together, though.
These are the kind of questions we get.
We love our listeners.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to you now, and you can add something probably more appropriate.
Yeah. All right, so I got this one. What comic book storyline would you like to? Hold on. Would you like to see made into a movie, like an action or animated, live action or animated, preferably not one already made? Maybe I said that clearly enough.
I looked at that question myself. I almost took it. I actually thought about that one. You know what I'd like to see, just because it's one of my favorite storylines from when we were younger. Do it in the X-Men '97 universe, but do Executioner song.
Oh, you bastard! You stole mine.
My secondary answer, since I stole yours, would have been let's do a proper version in the Spider-Man animated '90s Spider-Man animated universe of the Clone Saga.
Oh, I could dig that. I could dig both of those actually.
I do them as movies. I wouldn't do them as a series. I do them as a movie.
Yeah, no, I mean my Executioner song will probably be it would definitely be animated. I don't know if it'd be in the I like to use the voices from X-Men '97, but I like to be a little more serious, a little more gritty animation. And maybe kind of like how they done Dark Knight Returns, or how they broke it into 2 parts. You had like an hour and a half here and an hour and a half there. Yeah, I kind of like it done like that because it is a lot of story to encompass.
And I will say,
to do it justice.
To clarify on mine, while I say that X-Men '97 universe, I want the 92, 93 X-Men animation style, because the last season was different animation style, and X-Men '97 is slightly different now, and I like that original style a little bit better.
That was a lot better. Like I'm not really digging how they've kind of toned Rogue down. It's very noticeable. Like
I was not digging Wolverine's voice, even though it's the same voice actor. It sounded way off.
Yeah, dude. And I've seen a lot of backlash online on that, and like a lot of people were coming to the guy's defense. I mean, like, it's been 30 fucking years. If you don't think people's voice changes in 30 years, and I get that, but you would almost think he got gruffer over 30 years versus lighter. I don't know. He got a lot softer, because when I heard it was like, "Hey, bub," and then that wasn't what I got.
So the other thing that bothered me on there, I know we're doing questions, but I will say the other thing that bothered me on that preview, just because while we're on it and we're talking about that voice, was the whole Gambit riding on Wolverine's back, charging his claws.
Charge his fucking claws. Yep.
I get that they're coated in metal. I get that. But he's never been able to charge organic matter, and there's still bone under that claw. How would he charge that?
Wouldn't that blow his whole fucking skeleton up? Wouldn't that blow the meat off his fucking bones, honestly?
Possibly, but also he's going to regenerate it for the most part. However, that takes time. Claws? I don't know. That takes time.
It's one of those things. It's like, okay, this is a cool visual.
It's a cool
but should we do it?
It's the start of a cool concept for a visual, but at the same time, it's like, you think about it too much, or you see it too many times, it's like, okay, this doesn't make sense now.
You know what? They could have got away with that in X-Men in '96 and '97 because we were young enough not to question these things.
Yeah.
Now, the people that are going to watch this show, let's face it, people watching the show are 40 years old. Because kids may or may not watch this shit.
This is true.
Us 40-year-olds, we're the ones going, all right, March 8th, get your ass here, or 27th or whatever the day is. Maybe it's 27th and March 8th is WWE 2K. Anyways, we're the ones rubbing our hands together for this shit, not little young kids. So we're going to question this shit. We're going to call you on it, Disney. Fuck you, Bob Iger.
Well, since we're talking nerdy stuff again now, I'm gonna give you a nerdy question I had this time. So this is one that I got from one of the fans. That said, do you have any collectible items that you wanted at the time you got it, but then you regretted it later or regret it now, and what changed your mind about it?
Ooh, that is a really good one.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you need a minute, I actually haven't answered that. That's why I picked that. I got.
Yeah, I'll let you go with that there because I've had some buyer's remorse on things. I'm just trying to think of what I may have had the most buyer's remorse on.
I don't have buyer's remorse on this one, but the one that I regret that I have it now, that I wanted it when I got it, Galactus HasLab. It's a great piece. It's awesome looking. It has all the cool stuff you could want in it, and I think it's fantastic. But when I got it with the intent of putting it in this one spot and building a display. I got more stuff before it arrived because it was a whole year before it got here. I filled up that space. I don't have any more space for it. So now it's still sitting in the box. I'm like, I have nowhere else to actually put it out at. So I'm kind of like, that's what changed my mind about it. It's not that I didn't want it and I don't still want it. It's just also like, where am I going to put this thing? And I can't build a display I wanted to build with it now because I've used everything else that was in that display elsewhere. So what am I going to do?
Okay, I won't say it's something in my current collection. And I don't know if it's buyer's remorse because I still have great affinity for it. It's kind of one of those things I just don't have room for anymore, honestly. My OG Marvel Superheroes arcade. It's an old 90s arcade box. You can change the JAMA board out and then become another game. It's got the analog TV and everything. I mean, it's the same thing you would find at your local bowling alley, grocery store, so forth and so on. I love the thing. And it's one of those things where part of me doesn't really regret buying it, but the other part of me is like, I don't have nowhere for it now. Because as my collection has expanded throughout the years, my room for it has lessened. Then we merged homes. You know, I got married. I, gained a wife and some new kids, and you just lose space. So it's currently sitting in my shop outside. I literally have it semi disassembled, and some of it's in sealed up bags, and the arcades in the corner of the shop just kind of sitting there. So it's getting not neglected, but just not used either. And I hate that because it's one of the things like nothing brought me better joy than the day I brought it home, set it up in the man room, and my daughter had some spend the night company. So her and her spend the night company's in there playing this thing. Just seeing my kids play it, you know what I'm saying? And my son come over and he played it, and I've actually seen the grandma play it a few times. Things like that brings me joy. But at the same time, I can turn the Raspberry Pi on and play the same game.
That stuff is awesome. That's the thing for me. Like, I love that thing when you had it, but at the same time, I'm also sitting here thinking like, how often did you actually play it? Because if it was me and it was sitting in my house, I'm not going to stand there and just play. I might go over there and play it for 5 minutes and be like, all right, I'm done for the while, and I won't touch it again for months.
That's kind of what happens, honestly. Like, I would plug it up and get all, you hear that Marvel Superheroes. It's like, oh shit, and you hear that music start playing, you get all pumped. And you play a couple rounds, you get about halfway through the game, and it's like, all right, I'm tired of standing here. And you walk the fuck off, and then I unplug it and I'll plug it up again for 2-3 months. And then I get an itch one day like, I don't play a few rounds. And you plug it back up, play a few rounds.
And as soon as you're done, you're like, eh. Yeah. I do that. I do that on the Xbox. I'll turn on and play NBA Jam, and after about 2 or 3 games, I'm like, all right, I'm done with this, and I won't see it again for months and months.
So yeah, that's mine.
Let's see. I'm going to ask you one of my general questions here. So, a little bit wordy one, but so you guys are pretty far apart geographically. How do you maintain your long distance relationships, whether that's friendships or romantic relationships? And that seems pretty hard to do. That was the whole question. So, I guess it's how do you maintain your long distance stuff?
Text messaging. We got group text and personal text and things of this nature. We text on the daily. Sometimes life gets busy and it may be a day or two, but for the most part, we do touch base with one another on the daily, whether it be just a random bullshit here or there, things of this nature.
Yeah, it does make it harder though on some things, like especially like scheduling the show. Sometimes like, all right, I can do this on this day, and it's like, oh man, something came up or whatever. So last minute changes are hard, and trying to think of topics and stuff through that sometimes gets harder because it's like, how much. It's easier when you sit down, you're face to face sometimes to talk it out. But now I would say friendship wise, it's a lot easier because honestly, I don't have that many friends that I talk to. I got a lot of people I know, a lot of people I talk to. As far as text friend wise, there's probably like 6, maybe 7 people. And then significant other right now, she does live a good ways away. So she's like 5 hours away right now. So that's actually harder just because it's hard.
That would be a challenge right there.
That because when you get like this past weekend, I got to go out of town. I got to go visit and see them and see her every day for that. Then you have to turn around and leave. I was there from Friday through Monday, so I saw Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then when you got to leave on Monday, and then you get back home, it's like, man, that's difficult to go back home and not have anybody to sit there and just talk to, or that somebody who wanted to make you a Valentine's Day down there and stuff. So you don't have that. You got to make your own food, and then when you go to bed, there's nobody to, for lack of a better term, cuddle up with and stuff. So it's like, all right, it's harder.
See, that's a hell of a challenge. I know, like the first year that probably the first 14, 15 months, my wife and I were dating. She lived roughly about 30 miles out of town. She lived way out in the country. So we may not see each other but like every couple of days. And that was a challenge for us right there. Now, we talked every day. We text, obviously, things of this nature, but there is a difference in that text versus that just being able to put your hand around them. You know what I'm saying? I get that. That's a hell of a challenge, actually.
It's different, too, to talk on the phone. Because like, we can make a phone call and talk for like 2 hours because we literally have. But at the same time, in today's world, like you get really busy, like her kids get home and stuff. It's like, all right, it's just text. It's not a call then because she's really busy with the kids, or she's got small ones and they're young. You got to feed them and stuff. And, by the time you get to doing all that, and it's like, man, you got to put them to bed by 8 or 9 o'clock. You got to school the next morning. Yeah. And then she falls asleep with them. It's like, all we did was text after that point. Or some days it's like, I really don't want to talk on the phone. I do it for a living.
Well, honestly, even though we text all the time, like literally you and I, even though we do the show together, we do more catching up 20 minutes before the show starts than we, actually do. While we text, we actually do more conversating, so to speak.
We talk through some of the show stuff through text, and then, other stuff too, like, hey, did you see the Marvel Legends live stream today or whatever? But then we get on here and we talk for like 20 or 30 minutes about, hey, how's this going for you? And then show stuff in between that for like 20 minutes. I was like, all right, now we're ready to go, because even when we do this, we also still have a timetable. Like, we still try to keep this down to an hour, but even after we finish, it's not like we stay on here a lot longer just because food, dog, wife, kid,
life
whatever
happens.
Yeah. But the phone is a bit of a lifesaver. But I will say this is, I know a lot of other people do it through social media and stuff too. I'm just not a social media person. I actually have looked at books about like digital fasting and stuff. I'm like, I might actually do that, just disappear from most of the stuff other than when we do the show. And then, what I have to do for work that I have to have the phone for. But there's sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to look at anything on that damn phone. I'm not going to lie.
I am 90% of the time you interacting with us on the socials. It's maybe just because I'm a social media junkie. Like, I don't know. Man, I literally think to myself sometimes, like, put your fucking phone down. You've been on this for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just scrolling, talking to people, doing what the fuck ever. Put your phone down and live.
Well,
but then there's some days I'll lay my phone down and I get to doing shit and then I won't touch it for a day.
Yeah, I've been there too. So it's an interesting conundrum, but yeah, the phone is if this was back in the past before cell phones, it might be a whole lot harder to have those.
Because boy got carpal tunnel now. I can't write a whole lot anymore.
No, well, by the time you get it, it's like, I am writing you this letter on this day. By the time you get it, oh, they had cancer and passed away. My bad.
This motherfucker done died. Shit.
Yeah.
Whole one from my homie.
Yeah. So, not to end on a somber note there, but it's your turn again.
All right, so let's see where we're at here. All right. This will be a pretty interesting one. If Ra's al Ghul was inserted into the Marvel 616, who is his target hero there?
What do you mean by his target here? Or I guess I say you. What do you think it means?
His antithesis is Batman. Who would be who
Oh,
would
okay.
he
The
single out in the Marvel
person
universe?
that he would say, "I want you to be my successor, but you don't agree with my methods."
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was that or if it's the person that he's targeting to like go kill because he is leader of the assassins.
Yeah, I mean, not so much his dirty work, but you know, who would he?
The person he wants to succeed him.
Yeah, his
does
Bruce
not
Wayne
agree with
in
him.
the Marvel universe.
Ooh, I gotta say it's probably I would say he would probably be more drawn to Captain America, I would think.
Oh, that's interesting.
Part of me wants to say Spider-Man, but I don't think I think he knows Spider-Man just does not fit his ideals at all.
I don't know. He's arrogant enough. I think he feels like he could change Peter. Be the father
Could be.
well, you know, try to manipulate the father figure role that when from where
That
Richards is dead, Ben's died. I see him going that route.
That could be. I mean,
That'll be interesting though. Using the Lazarus Pit maybe for Gwen Stacy.
That would be an interesting storyline. I think
I can give your love back to you.
I think he probably goes Cap. My second choice besides Spider-Man would probably been Daredevil.
Ooh.
I can see how he could manipulate Daredevil or try to. Like, I know some people like he's an assassin to be the Punisher or something. Like, no, that doesn't fit at all.
Instead of going detective, be lawyer. That'd be kind of interesting. I could dig that. That actually may be the best out of the three, honestly.
I thought about it after the fact because I was trying to struggle through who it would be because a lot of people just don't fit that mold of what he sees in Batman.
Well, Daredevil's a ninja as well, and has fought the Hand, and that'd be actually pretty interesting. I hadn't thought about that at all. Wow.
I have a decent idea every now.
Kudos to the listener that sent this question. That's pretty thought provoking.
Yeah, it is. I had to think hard too because I'm not sure. I'm like, who fits the Batman role there? But
when I read it, I was like, Captain crossed my mind, but I was like, I don't know. He's too red, white, and blue.
Yeah,
he's uncorruptible, so to speak. Maybe he get his hands on Hydra Steve. I don't know. That would be pretty interesting. You know, like put Hydra Steve back in, Roz. But I don't know. I was just like, Peter. That's the one that stuck out to me. You know, like
I thought about him, and the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, I think Daredevil would fit that better, just for my perspective.
I would read that. Marvel and DC, you guys are missing out. We got a book here.
I'd definitely check it out. But let's see, what other questions do I have? And actually, we may make it through all the questions today because we still got a little bit of time, and we're not doing a separate nerd out section because this is the whole show is this. So,
well, I done a bonus question just in case.
We said 10. I ended up with 11. We ended up with 11, but none of them are mine per se. So I will. We can still run through them all and do yours, but I didn't come up with a separate one. I just had 11 that I took. So have you ever stopped collecting, and why did you do so? And how did you get back into it if you did?
I stopped collecting comics for a while. Roughly around the time COVID happened, I just quit buying comics. And it wasn't because I was fearful of getting out in the world. I was one of those people. I was essential from day one. And I am a non-vaccine, non-masker. The whiskey keeps me COVID free. So I just lived, I hate to say live recklessly because I know that's how people view it, but I wasn't going to live in fear. So let me just state, that's not why, I didn't go. I just, at the time, I went from working 60 hours a week to about 48 hours a week. And I wasn't salary then. I was actually hourly. So, that was a crunch. You had to start making choices. That's fair. Where I was buying, $300 and $400 worth of comics a month, it's like, I'm not going to do this anymore. So at the time, I started downloading comics, and I know that's frowned upon. However, I've done the downloading, off Pirates Bay and whatnot for a while. And I stayed up for a little while, and then I just kind of fell off. And then about a year and a half ago or so, I just started picking up books that, I enjoy. Like I pick up Spider-Man now. I pick up Ghost Rider, obviously. when Joe Fix It come out, I picked that mini up. I mean, there are certain things I'll pick up, and I bought trades of various stories. I like Doomsday Clock. I bought the trade of that there. I still haven't read it. It's sitting in there. But I did read. I got the Three Jokers. Various things like that. I've bought trades of.
I don't think I've ever really gotten out of collecting the stuff. I've stopped certain things, like, hey, I've bought enough of this, or I've stopped buying certain things and then sold part of it off just to make money back on stuff. I will say in some financial hard times and stuff, just when things were like tighter and stuff, I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy this, but I'm not gonna buy this. Like, this was about the time that Mattel was doing their He-Man Masters of the Universe classics, and I was like, I'm gonna buy He-Man, I'm gonna buy Zodak, Snout Spout, I'm not buying any others. And I didn't until later on when I was like, okay, better financial times. And it wasn't bad. We weren't broke or anything. It was just one of those, like, I'm not going to spend money because it's expensive at this point in time. Other stuff costs.
No matter how well you do in life, at some point you have to, cut certain corners sometimes.
Our child at that time was, 2 or 3 years old. So I'm like, he's getting expensive because you're constantly buying more stuff, constantly doing more. So I was like, nope, I'm going to just buy those. And that was it. So that was all I bought out of that till later on. And I went back and bought some more of them after the fact, only on good deals, because luckily not all of those were as expensive as they could have been.
Unfortunately, we wasn't getting Ross deals then.
No. But as far as comics and stuff, same thing. I was like, I'll look at my collection every now and then and be like, all right, I'm buying all these books and these are okay. I want to save some money and not spend as much, but these are not that good. So I will drop these titles and I'll keep these that I have to read. But I don't think I've ever stopped completely. It's just I've changed habits here and there, and then in both directions, up and down. Like during COVID,
I've had peaks and valleys through the years. Like there have been years where I have spent recklessly, and my collection, it more than exudes as my wife. I sit there and she'll look at things sometimes. I'm like, now she's been with me long enough. She's starting to like equate what shit's worth. And what I spent, and just start looking and she go, I could have really done some things with the money you spent. Because my wife is like a money guru. She's literally, she can cut corners and like turn $1 into $5 quick.
Yeah.
God bless her, she's just wired that way.
Yeah.
So she'll look at my collection, and she's been with me long enough now. She's like, you really spent some money, didn't you? Because this, I can just say, that wasn't a few bucks. That wasn't those. That box would be bad. I can't do that no more.
I will cut here and there when I need to or do certain things. It's just one of those where I never fully stopped. It's just like, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on because I'm not going to spend that much money. Probably comics is the one that goes up and down the most for me because, like, COVID hit and stuff, and I wasn't buying as much. I started buying more because I was stuck at home anyway. And because when I travel, I don't take them with me to read. I'll take graphic novels because they don't hold up very well in the travel in my suitcases and stuff. But the graphics do because they're thick enough. So I'm like, all right, I wasn't buying as many comics pre-COVID. Started buying more and stuff because I'd kind of gotten a little distasteful with some of the new 52 and stuff. So I was like,
Do you ever see yourself going fully digital?
No. No, I like some of the digital stuff, and there's some things I'll read that way, but no.
No, I'll be honest. Like when I was doing the bootleg online digital deal, I'm very Stan Lee-ish. He said it best. Comics are like a boob; they're best felt in your hand. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't. I could read them, but it's like they weren't as enjoyable as just turning the page.
Yeah,
I don't know, something about turning that page, holding the book in your hand. It's like you're transported back to a simpler time. To me.
Well, I get more into it too because when I got to move the screen and I got to blow up this panel to read it and this panel to read it, but on the book I can just move it to where it fits the best to read it. But I think this year I actually just went through my list of books I was buying. I was like, why am I buying that? Because I don't really even enjoy reading it that much, but I'd gotten into so many things. I was like, all right, I'm gonna cut some out, and I went through and did that. Actually, just last month because it's still February, so I did that in January. But so my February order was much less than what it had been previously because they were getting more expensive, and I was like, I'm spending too much on these, and I'm not enjoying them all, so I'm gonna cut some out.
While we're talking about collectibles, I got a pretty good one here. So, what toy line, not in production, would you like to see produced? And third parties don't count.
So you mean something that's been before coming back, or I guess
something prior that's not currently in production, and it can be in production by a third party. That doesn't count. Just by a major company, licensed, so to speak.
Cops and crooks.
Ooh, cops and crips. Put them C's up, baby.
I almost wanted to say mask, but how do you do mask? And I don't want mask in that 3.75 or even that 2-inch scale anymore. If I wanted this GI Joe classified scale. But how do you get those vehicles and how do you make them affordable?
Ooh, that would
that's like
mask will be mine, obviously, but yeah, that is very much a how do you do that in an affordable range?
That was my concern and why I didn't take them. I'm like, I don't know how to afford that. So
I think I actually pissed Ace and Ramen off today. So I was looking on there, and they call theirs the Makina line or whatever they call it. Yeah. Apparently they're no longer doing them in the 2 3/4 scale any longer. They're going to be in a larger scale. So when I see this instantly, like you had some fans for, some fans were for, some fans were against. Well, they're a lot more active on Facebook than they are Instagram.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it was a post I'd seen on there, and I was just kind of scrolling. And when I seen it, I was like, so in other words, you guys have got hit with another lawsuit. And to skate around this and continue bootlegging this line, that you're going to go with a larger scale. And I even put on there, I said, look, zero hate. I mean, I buy a shit ton of third party stuff. So I'm not hating here. I'm just calling a spade. And because we had a 2-hour conversation with a man. He is suspect at best.
I'm not going to say he has his ways.
He's a shady individual.
I will let you take that. I'm not sure that I'd say that, but he has some different perspectives than what I do. But that's
well, they come back on there and says, "No, we didn't get hit with a lawsuit," and I was like, "All right, cool. I hope you didn't." But I mean, why else would you change unless you got hit with a cease and desist?
I know they got in trouble first on the mask with the first car, and they've re-released it with different colors and stuff and different
decals.
The box packaging and the decals is what got them on that, I think. And it
was 100%, 100% replica, pretty much, in a little larger or nicer fashion.
Their Maverick line, they got it too for their Top Gun Maverick line. Like they couldn't sell the one head that looked like Tom Cruise character. They actually they had to take all. I think they had to take all 4 of their heads back and retool them so they didn't look like the actors anymore because they were too close to the actors' likenesses, and they got in trouble for that. But that's just what I heard online. I don't know how true it is.
I'm not shitting on them. I'm not. I wasn't shitting on them on Facebook today, honestly. I mean, because I do enjoy their work. Like Brave Struggle is great, and I seen where they're doing the villain motorcycle from Mask.
Yeah,
the guy in the black jacket and the helmet and whatnot. It looks great. I mean, so I'm not shitting on them. I'm just, I don't know. I guess talking to him on here enough, it's like I got this vibe off of him enough to where it was like, let's just be honest here. We're gonna call a spade here. You're questionable at best,
and that's fair. So we are running a little closer on time. I have 4 questions left. Do you still have 4?
I've got about. Well, I've got 2 really good ones left.
Well, I was going to say, if you've got 2 to 4, we can kind of do them a little bit more rapid fire and not spend as long an explanation. But so I will give you my. We'll still go back and forth, I think. So I'm going to give you one of my general ones is what is your typical fashion style? Do you have dress clothes? Do you dress differently for work? And what do you wear in your free time?
I do dress differently from work. I wear pretty much a Columbia type shirt and khakis or jeans to work because I just like the breathability of the Columbia style shirt. Plus, it's casual or it skates the line of casual formal. Know, because in management you kind of have to dress a little differently. I might wear a polo here or there, but mostly it's that. When I'm at home, I wear either khaki or gray colored chap shorts I like the way they feel. They got a good dry fit. Wear a lot of dry fit type shit and
Yeah.
t-shirts. That's pretty much all I wear around my house is t-shirts because I have to wear button-up shit for work. So it's t-shirts and soft shorts or khaki shorts around the house.
So I used to have to wear a lot of dress clothes to work, but now ours changed a couple of years ago where it's all jeans and polos now. So I wear a lot of polos to work. They're all work branded and then comfortable jeans. I will say that I was not against buying anything from them, but I was like, they're never going to have clothes in my size at Old Navy. And you're like, no, man, get a pair of jeans from there. After I bought one, that's the only jeans in my closet now is Old Navy jeans.
Dude.
They are comfortable as crap.
Yeah, that's what I went with. For years,
Now
I was a Levi's guy.
You have to order them online.
Yeah, like literally, I was a Levi guy for years. That's all I will wear, jeans wise.
Yeah.
And it's my daughter bought me a pair, I believe. And I was like, holy shit, these feel great. And from that point on, I was like, Old Navy from here out. And they're cheap as fuck too.
Yeah. Oh, I get their stuff. But for me, it's like for work or the weekends, usually jeans, or if it's hot weather during the weekends, I'll get like shorts and stuff. I only have like 2 or 3 pairs, and then t-shirts mostly, but polos for work. But I will say that every now and then, especially if you're going out on a nice day, and I do like to dress up every now and then. I'll get the full dress to the nines, dress pants, button-up shirt, cufflinks, tie. I'll do that when I have to. I'll do that occasionally, or if I have something really important to go to, but I don't do it very regularly.
Hell, Cobra. Sometimes he wears a mask, people.
White
and it's not a gimp mask.
Nope. So what do you have next?
All right, Dr. Doom and Magneto versus the Justice League, and who wins?
I'm always going to take Justice League over that because I don't care
Really?
how well they prepare, how powerful they are. I do not see if Clark Kent wants to take you out, he's going to find a way.
But you know what? Doom has magic abilities. His magic, if he mystifies his armor, he can hold his own with Superman. Magneto is a bad son of a bitch now.
They both are, but at this
Doom
point,
and Magneto together, I think, are a formidable foe against him. Does the Justice League probably ultimately prevail? Yes. They'll fuck up the Flash, though, Casey. Just so you know. They will fuck the Flash up. Like, Magneto's going to separate the spine somehow. I don't know.
I don't know.
Use the iron in his blood to separate his spine.
Because if you're talking Barry or Wally West, Flash is so fast, and honestly, he thinks faster than they can even comprehend what he's doing. But for me, the whole thing with Superman is, especially now you go back to John Byrne reintroduced Superman after Crisis, and he's powered down a little bit. Yeah, maybe, but at this point, the dude has bench pressed the Earth for 5 days straight with dropping 3 beads of sweat, punching holes through space and time.
Used to bend the speedster over his knee and spank his little hind end. So I'm just saying.
I gotta go. I gotta go with the league there. I just think they pull that out. So next question. So I'm gonna go back to this is my last nerdy question, and I got 2, I guess, general questions. They start to lead into nerdy stuff anyway. But do you actively dislike any collectible, whether it's a line or a single item? Like you just can't stand it. You don't want to see anybody buy it. You don't want to support it in any way.
Not really. Not really. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not a fan of the new look of the Ninja Turtles. That I don't know. The animation style sucked to me. I will say I watched the movie this weekend for the first time finally with the Gremlin because we got the boys this weekend. So I had Gremlin and Ground at the house, and we finally watched and he had done watched the movie like 3 times. Like he's telling me what's going to happen. I'm like, boy, Papa's been waiting to watch this, waiting on your ass to be here. And he's telling me what's going to happen. So I'm like, okay. So I did enjoy the movie. But the animation style was not a fan of. So the cartoon line or the toy line, I'm obviously not a fan of. But I don't dislike it enough where I wish nobody buy it. I don't wish anyone any unsuccess with their ventures, so to speak.
No, I don't either. I think that I have the closest I come to that is that I have a little bit of I really like some of the stuff McFarlane's done, especially like his DC Direct figures he just put out, because I like that Green Lantern and Aquaman and stuff. Those were really cool looking stuff. I get aggravated and I start disliking him because he talks stuff up so much. I'm like, dude, let it speak for itself, because you were like You were like trying to create competition where there shouldn't be any.
The audacity of him thinking he can sell a digital Build-A-Figure.
Not even that. I get more
That
frustrated
to
like
me was like, holy shit, dude! You're like pressing a boundary here.
when he goes up there and says he's got he's looked at all these numbers and they've sold more than any other toy line in the year and stuff. I'm like, dude,
Bullshit.
you sell a lot of stuff.
I have a large collection. You people see it, and I literally have a spot right there with 10 McFarlanes. That's my collection, and I think I have I may have a Firestorm in the closet that's not on the wall.
He makes and sells a lot of stuff. This is true, but then again, a lot of us Batman repaints, Superman repaints, and then all of his stuff is grouped by DC Multiverse or DC Direct when it sells. That's still he's got these DC Direct was one to add in, but all the multiverse ones. But every Marvel Legends line is kind of completely separate. Every Star Wars line is kind of completely separate.
I got pretty pumped today. Did you see the Knights In Red Azrael Batman?
Yes.
I got pretty pumped at that right there because first of all, the fact that he led with the red, no pun intended, means we'll get the blue at some point on that same armor because he went the stages, and I'm just hoping when they do the blue, they get the blue right this time versus that fucking navy blue or baby blue we got on the first Azrael.
I just reread all that. I actually just finished reading Knights In. I'm at the prodigal part where Dick takes over for Bruce, but I had forgotten why he went from blue to red, but he built the blue armor, and then when he caught on fire in the middle of one of the fights with Bruce Wayne from a helicopter fuel leak on him, and then he tried to throw his flamethrower on Bruce, and it set his suit on fire, and it actually burned. So the red was actually just painted blue for Batman, but it burned it off when he caught on fire. That's when it became red and gold. I didn't remember that.
I haven't read this in years, so. But I was psyched when I seen that. And I have literally sitting right in front of me, I literally have those three armors sitting in front of me. Well, it's the blue, the red and gold, and then the actual Azrael, Mattel DC, version of him on a shelf together. So
yeah. So let's jump to I've got two more questions left. I don't know how many you have, and we don't have to do both of them, but I'm going to ask this one because I think this is a good one. What does your family, specifically your significant other, think about your nerdy collecting lifestyle?
It's a waste of money.
And it doesn't have to be just collecting. They said nerdy collecting, but I'm thinking just nerd-wise too, like movies and all that stuff. So,
I'll be honest, she was very supportive when we first started dating. Then we got married and she seen the money. She was less than supportive. But she is cool about, like, she'll watch movies with me. She's gone to cons with me. She's went to wrestling and a horror con at this point with me. I've yet to get her to a Comic Con yet, but it's coming. But she's other than the spending money part, she's just that frugal. I swear, I think she's Jewish, and we just don't know it. But other than being frugal with the money, she's pretty supportive.
Mine is too. She actually likes going into the stores and looking at the stuff and like, oh, is that something there? She doesn't know as much about it. Like, she knows a good bit, but she's a gamer. She likes playing her Xbox and always asking, hey, can we get this game or play on the Xbox, play together and stuff. And she loves that stuff. She really likes photography, and she likes the fact that I have all them poses and stuff. She's like, I want to take pictures of them. Can we take them out and move them and put them in fight scenes and stuff and take pictures? I'm like, sure. So
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So she's been pretty supportive of it so far. Now, it's also one of those things too where she doesn't really care as much about the money. She's like, says there's a couple of them like, I want that, but I don't want to spend the money on it because that's expensive. And she's talked me into buying, like, I wouldn't have gone in for all the Return to Superman display that I want to build if it hadn't been for her talking me into, yeah, go ahead and get it because if you really want it, why not? So
true.
So yeah, that's been a good change. I've had in the past where it's like nobody's ever really been like against it. It's just one of those like, yeah, the money usually is the thing that pops up in it.
I'm a you only live once person. I can't. You know what? You can't take the money with you. I can enjoy the shit while I'm here, and then my kids can sell it when I'm gone. Well, that's the way I look at it. So, moving into one of my final questions. If you could make any video game that has not already been made, what would it be?
Oh, any video game that has not already been made? I don't know. That's man. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that because there's not much that I can think
It's a
of.
good one, right?
Yeah, because there's not much I can think of that they haven't made something of, and I might not have loved it that much, but it's also like meh. So, yeah, I don't know. That's. I might have to think about that when you give your answer, and I'll think about it.
What do you think about yours? I'm gonna go with well, we got 40 years of WrestleMania from 2K this year. It's beyond time that we got a Monday Night Wars. Sting retires with AEW in March, so there's no reason you can't re-sign him to a Legends contract sometime this year. It's time to let, and a couple of more of those old timers that are with AEW, they're more and more leaving AEW, unfortunately, which is a loss to AEW big time, contrary to what Tony Khan wants to put out there. But it's beyond time we had an actual Monday Night Wars, WCW versus WWF or WWE video game, and actually like had it reenact the biggest moments of the Monday Night Wars, and also have like a what if, so to speak. You know, the big matches we never got: the Sting, the Taker, the Stone Cold versus Hollywood Hogan. You know, Hall and Nash versus the New Age Outlaws. Rock versus maybe Ric Flair, Goldberg. When it was Goldberg versus
Yeah,
WWE shit.
that's actually a good one. And you've brought that up before in the past. They've made a lot of Power Ranger games, but I guess that's probably my thing is they haven't really made a good one. The Battle for the Grid. Battle for the Grid was a good one for for a fighting one, but I won't want to.
Why not have a stage game?
Well, they've had some, but like they had an old Super NES one that was like Power Ranger, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie stuff, and it was okay. But I want one that's got the same kind of graphics and gameplay like Spider-Man had. Like if you give me that for a Power Ranger, that would be awesome to me.
Yeah, why not have, what is that? Shit. Starts with an I. I can't think of the company now. Damn.
Industrial Engine?
No, who is that company that does those Spider-Man games?
Insomniac?
Insomniac. Why not have Insomniac do a Power Rangers game and it be stages, so to speak, with a free world? Maybe you had to discover your own power coin. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be interesting. Or do a through the years.
Yeah.
Do it every level.
A progression, so to speak.
Yeah.
Maybe like start at Mighty Morphin and progress up to Zeo and stop there.
I'd run it through all of them and have multiple levels, but then at the very end you have to have you could pick whatever team you wanted from any era, like different characters. Like if you're playing it as a team, here's my red from this era, here's my green from this era, or whatever. Or like you said, have to master your own coin, get your own powers, and be a brand new team of characters.
You could almost do an End of the Spider-Verse with all their teams, and you choose your team of Rangers.
That would be interesting. So with that, I have one last question, and I'm really not sure how to answer this one because I actually just saw this one right before we started. So this is a very fun and interesting one. So I'm gonna throw this one out here, and we'll see if we can answer. But you have to challenge the devil to one competition for your soul. What would it be?
Oh shit!
I have no idea what to say.
Wow.
Not that.
Competition for my soul.
I'm gonna have to go with useless comic trivia and hope that I pull it out, but I'm not sure that I could. But I tried.
Maybe calling one of my friends and them answer. That or masturbation, one of the two.
At least you'll die happy, right?
Way to go with a bang.
Oh man.
Wow.
That's an interesting one to end on, but yeah, I'd have to go comic trivia because that's about the only thing I've really got.
Wow, that's a good one. That really is. Wow. Whatever reader Our listener, give us that one there. Kudos to you because you got me stumped on that one.
Aside from coming up with an answer for that, I think that brings us pretty much to a close for today, Hassel. But before we leave from here, we do have to tell everybody where they can find us at.
And you can find us on Instagram at the Nerdy Manroom Show, Facebook, Hassel Hutchinson via the Nerdy Manroom Show. We're on TikTok, the.nerdy.manroom. You can find us on Twitter or X, Nerdy MR Show. Yeah, and the YouTube, most importantly. And you can find us there at Nerdy Manroom Show. We're also on Spotlight Media and Geek Network via the Nerdy Manroom Show.
Yeah, so check us all out there. But also, while you're checking us out, if you are interested in joining Geek Network, as Hassel mentioned, we are members of that. We are still looking for more people to help with reviews and interviews. So if you're interested in that, check out the graphic here on the screen for details of how to apply to join. And don't forget to go check out our extended Nerdy Manroom family member, Big Rob. You can find him on his channel of Big Rob's House of Entertainment and No Chinese Food, where he does fantastic toy hunts as well as movie reviews. And I saw he just did a toy hunt recently and talked about some movies, so maybe he'll get back to some of those.
That's bright as a motherfucker. I love
it. After you check out us, the Geek Network, as well as Big Rob, make sure you also go check out our sponsor. We want to give a big thank you to them, These Own Collectibles. You can find them on the internet at theseowncollectibles@gmail.com and on Facebook at These Own Collectibles, or in their store at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. Visit them for all your nerdy needs. Help them support the local artist community by supporting their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. And at the very end, check out the RN credits. You'll see some special shout outs and thank you to some of our extended Geek Network family members and some of our other friends. So check that out. And with that, I think we're at an end. But join us here next time. We're going to discuss retro fast food meals toys, which I don't even know if they do those anymore now. But we're going to talk about some of the older ones. Until then, live nerdy and be proud.